Come back. Dang. I call that skating. It just skates. You can hear it. When you're on a knife edge like that, it sounds kind of better. But when you're on the thick part, it just skates. Isn't it fun to choose a rock so bad that you can just sit around complaining about it all day while you're working it? I mean, that makes the whole sport fun. I've been wanting to try and get my son to do some video and or he can use the other side of the camera and do up close videoing of me putting the muscle onto some pressure work to try and demonstrate how to do that. What I do a lot of time is I get way up in here tight with my hand and cock my wrist back like that, and I stay down kind of low with my issue stick and in on my side, and I put it on there like that, and I just lever in as hard as I can suddenly. It's like a full body sneeze. Put it against the back and just lever in and dig in really, really hard. And sometimes on super tough material, I can drive a better flake pressure-wise than I can with percussion. That slipped off. And I'll leave the point kind of dull so it doesn't initiate quite as soon, so I can load up with more pressure. It ain't kind of dull, it's real dull. When people say, you know, hey, what's the trick? You know, I make my points too thick. How do I keep from making my points too thick? Push inward more. But you have to push 3 times as hard. I mean, you got to figure out a way to use your whole body. Use your legs, use your upper body, use everything you got, because you know what you're really just saying when you say, how can I figure out how to make my points thinner? My response is push through more rock. And then your follow-up question is, well, how? And my follow-up answer is any way you can. I'm like a 98-pound weakling, and I managed to do it. Got geezeritis and all. I'm zigzagging this. Control that preform. Do not let it roll. A large percentage of people's problems is they'll have it. See, this is that sticky kind of rubber stuff, and it don't slip. I don't have to hold it against it real tight, but I hold the back edge strongly to where it doesn't roll. I can even do it with leather. It just takes a lot of practice. But if you let it roll, you're gonna get short flakes. And one of the tricks to not letting it roll is push downward, push across it. Don't try and help it release by pulling off to the side. Push across it. Put enough force in it for it to go. And I know it's easier said than done, but like I hold it just like that and push, grab same way and push inward hard. Now on those I do push downward, and you see the leather trapped it, but it still ran further than some of my percussion flakes. Now, I do use a spacer sometimes. If you don't want those little fingernail hinges, you got to use a spacer. When you're doing real tough stuff like this, you can actually shoot stuff all the way across it overshoot into your finger when you're using decent rock. Using bad rock like this, what I do, I never know how many times I've shown stuff, and I may say stuff the same thing. Dang it, where is it? I've got a little piece of thick leather I stick to use as a spacer. I can't breathe. This is a dumb data video. Anyway, you see this is getting a little bit more control looking. I just got to get this worked a little bit to trying to do too many things at once, talk too much at once. It's like I'm trying to cover all of flint knapping at one time. And don't herniate yourself. There ain't no point in having surgery over flint knapping. See, that was a pretty good flake. I'm raising that up quite a bit. I know there's no way I can punch that crap off. But I think I want to try it just for fun. Got part of it. That big old hump is what I'm after right here. Everything's wrong about this. So what you want to do is you want to save the link on this video and see how I kind of wrapped it off. Re-watch this video when you're fixing to try and do something as a reminder to yourself of how not to do it. Dang. Look at this flake I took after like 4 hits. Are we liking this? But I mean, it did kind of address that, sort of, a little. Yeah, right, Jerry. Fine. People are so judgmental. I'm kind of in pain today. Somebody called me earlier and I was very grouchy. All right, so what I did was I turned that down or up, depending upon your orientation, to address this mass and cortex that are still left on there. And this better freaking work is all I can say. I'm going to use the soft leather support technique, and I'm going to be trying to support the crap out of the back edge and not let the preform move at all. Are you with me? Okay. I'm going to start towards the end because I might as well try and get some weight off the front. So that's 2 good ones off the front. So now I'm going to skip over and take one off the back side right here. So what you can see, that one ran, so I'm isolating a big humpy area right here. And I like that platform better than that one. And yes, you might say it's not really much of a platform at all. Slightly obliquely here. What do you think it did? No, I don't know either. Let's look. Okay, so it ran past the center line and blew off all the remainder of that cortex and lowered and flattened quite a bit. Yeah, we may have to try and make a Clovis out of this one. Was he being facetious, Ralph? I think he was being facetious. I don't know, Martha. He's always talking weird, so I can't tell what he's thinking. Straight down. Straight down. Straight down. Leather runs it in, gets a little bit longer, and now I'm into an area of thickness again. So now I'm going to try and blast that in a little bit. But I'm going to go to the back first. I'm getting weight off the ends. And that divoted and did not get weight off the end. And that ran well and took out the side of the divot and flattened and went all the way over to here. Probably got to flute that in to get rid of thickness. Foreshadowing. Maybe. Bad divot. Bad divot. Bad divot. What are we gonna do now? We're toast, we've ruined it. When you screw up, try and make sure that the stuff you're fixing to do to fix what you screwed up is done better than what you did when you screwed up. Okay, can you see it? All right, I'm gonna hit over here and over here. Didn't work. Didn't work. Worked. Okay, so that cut off a little bit of that side of the divot. Now I'm hopeful that this will do better over here. Didn't come off. Okay, so that cut off this side of the divot and went almost to the center line and didn't create any more trouble, so that's okay. What now? Nothing looks good to hit. What do I do? See, the problem you run into with this kind of situation is I need to use big power. But it would really be nice if I could have great control, because this is a problematic rock that needs to be dealt with carefully. But you can't deal with it carefully because you just won't do any good. And it's got a bunch of iron in it, which makes it even more problematic. I don't know if you can see how orangey this is. The sun just went, oh, there we go. I don't know if you can see how orangey that is, but the oranginess is a bad thing. And the reason I know that is because I've collected rock from different places, and one of the kinds of places I've collected rock from, the Eocene strata to the north of me, a ways, has a lot of iron and other minerals, and I've tried to work chert from up there, and it just doesn't have good tensile strength, and I'm convinced it's because the iron content. Iron doesn't cement anything, it's not silica. This just stinks. I need to be using the pressure flaker, but I can't because this thing still has all kind of balance issues. And I've got to put some power into it. And I like to flute it, but it ain't set up for doing that right either. It's a problem. I'd like to step down to the 1/4 inch punch at a minimum and get better control and more precise and more focused power. But I'm not sure it would be enough power, so I'm sticking with this for the moment. Just, you know, that's just a criminal offense to not take a better flake than that with that much hit. Maybe I should just start trying to flake granite. Can't be that much different. This is nothing though. Them boys up in the northeast hitting that horrible quartzite. My goodness. And pretending like they like it. You know, when I first started napping, I wasn't online at all. But after about, I don't know, a year, 6 months, I don't know when it was, I got online on Paleo Planet, and I started posting the stuff I was making, which was all crap, but of course, I didn't know it. I was proud of it, kinda. And it's all still there as far as I know. So you can go back through and see. I think I started posting around Halloweenish, a little before Halloween of 2012. Dang. I'm gonna have to try and do some of this with pressure, but I don't know how. That right there, that big hump, I've got a fracture in the front of it to where I can't. I mean, I can try to shoot, but dang it, that's not doing good. It's funny to be swinging just about as hard as you can, you know, on a piece this size, but that's what it takes, because if you'll notice, none of those flakes are longer than about half to 3/4 of an inch. None of them. You're like, well, how is that possible? Tough rock. It's a tough rock, mama. I need to write a song. I need to write a country song about flint napping called It's a Tough Rock, Mama. No, this isn't a good technique because all that can be said is I'm not hinging, but it just, you know, this rock would be so dang good if it was heated. All I have to do is throw it in a turkey roaster, and all this turmoil and heartache would be avoided. But then it wouldn't be any fun. See, if you nap a whole bunch, and you're like me and you kind of can get bored with stuff if you do repetitious crap, I don't like napping good rock because it's boring to me. I'm not being critical of anyone who loves napping good rock. I wish that my points were more pleasing to Instagram eyes, but when I set out to flint nap, it has to be amusing to me, not just to Instagram eyes. Dang. I guess I've gone too long in this video, so I'll be right back. I'm going obliquely to try and get better length on the flakes.